Section 14 of Advice to Young Men and Boys. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Advice to Young Men and Boys by Bartis Comegys. A Truthful Character. April 1889. Can anything be more important to a young life than truthfulness? Is character worth anything at all if it is not founded on truth? And are not the temptations to untruthfulness in heart and life constantly in your path? It is most interesting to think that every life here is an individual life, having its own history, and in many respects unlike every other life. When I see you passing through these grounds, going in procession to and from your schoolrooms, your dining halls, and your playgrounds, the question often arises in my thoughts, how many of these boys are walking in the truth? If I were looking for a boy to fill any position within my gift or within the reach of my influence, and should seek such a boy among you, I should ask most carefully of those who know you best whether such and such a boy were truthful, and not in speech merely, that is, does he answer questions truthfully, but is he open and frank in his life? Does he cheat in his lessons or in his games? Does he shirk any duty that is required of him in the shops? When he fails to recite his lessons accurately, is he very ready with his excuses, trying to justify himself for his failure? Or does he admit candidly that he did not do his best, and does he promise sincerely to do better in the future? And is he one who may be depended upon to give a fair account of any incident that may come up for investigation? Sometimes there are wrong things done here, done from thoughtlessness often. May such a boy as I am looking for be depended upon to say what he knows about it in a manly way, so as to screen the innocent and, if necessary, expose the guilty? In other words, is he trustworthy, worthy of trust? Can he be depended on? It may not be easy for one at my time of life to say just what a boy ought to be if he is to make much of a man. But we who think much of this subject have an idea of what we would like the boys to be in whom we are especially interested. And if I borrow from another description of what I mean, it is because this author has said it better than I can. A real boy should be generous, courteous among his friends and among his schoolfellows, respectful to his superiors, well-mannered. He must avoid loud talk and rough ways, must govern his tongue and his temper, must listen to advice and reproof with humility. He must be a gentleman. He must not be a sneak or a bully. He must neither cringe to the strong nor tyrannize over the weak. To his teachers he must be obedient, for they have a right to require obedience of him. He must be respectful, because the true gentleman always respects those who are wiser, more experienced, better informed than himself. He must apply himself to his lessons with a single aim, seeking knowledge for its own sake, and earnestly striving to make the best possible use of such faculties as God has given him. He must do his best to store his mind with high thoughts by a careful study of all that is beautiful and pure. In his sports and plays he must seek to excel, if excellence can be obtained by a moderate amount of time and energy. But he must remember that though it is a fine thing to have a healthy body and a healthy mind, it is neither necessary nor admirable to develop a muscular system like that of an athlete or a giant. Whatever falls to his hands to do, he must do it with his might, assured that God loves not the idle or dishonest worker. He must remember that life has its duties and responsibilities, as well as its pleasures, that these begin in boyhood, and that they cannot be evaded without injury to heart and mind and soul. He must train himself in all good habits, in order that these may accompany him easily in later life, in habits of method and order, of industry and perseverance and patience. He must not forget that every victory over himself smooths the way for future victories of the same kind. And the precious fruit of each moral virtue is to set us on higher and better ground for conquests of principle in all time to come. He must resolutely shut his ears and his heart to every foul word and every improper suggestion, every profane utterance, guarding himself against the first approaches of sin, which are always the most insidiously made. He must not think it a brave or plucky thing to break wholesome rules, to defy authority, to ridicule age or poverty or feebleness, to pamper the appetite, to imitate the fast, to throw away valuable time, to neglect precious opportunities. He must love truth with a deep and passionate love, abhorring even the shadow of a lie, even the possibility of a falsehood. True in word, true in deed, he shall walk in the truth. I say then to you boys, do your best. Be honest and diligent. Be resolute to live a pure and honorable life. Speak the truth like boys who hope to be gentlemen. Be merry if you will, for it is good to be merry and wise. Be loving and dutiful sons. Be affectionate brothers. Be loyal-hearted friends. And when you come to be men, you will look back to these boyish days without regret and without shame. Something like this is my ideal of a boy. I am very desirous that your future shall be bright and useful and successful, and I and others who are interested in your welfare will hope to hear nothing but good of you. But we can have no greater joy than to hear that you are walking in the truth. Some of you may become rich men. Some of you may become very prominent in public affairs. You may reach high places. You may fill a large space in the public estimation. You may be able and brilliant men. But there is nothing in your life that will give us so much joy as to hear that you are walking in the truth. Truth is the foundation of all the virtues, and without it character is absolutely worthless. No gentleness of disposition, no willingness to help other people, no habits of industry, no freedom from vicious practices can make up for want of truthfulness of heart and life. Some persons think that if they work long and hard and deny themselves for the good of others, and do many generous and noble acts and have a good reputation, they can even tell lies sometimes and not be much blamed. But they forget that reputation is not character, that one may have a very good reputation and a very bad character. They forget that the reputation is the outside, what we see of each other, while the character is what we are in the heart. End of section 14, read by John R. Moore, Albertville, Alabama, January 2023. End of Advice to Young Men and Boys by Bartis Comegys.